garbage bag. I don't think I could do it though. Well, Mary Beth left you alone on Friday. You told her to take off when she needed to. What's the difference? Give Teresa a chance to be a designer. Or Elise. Call her and help her with them. Yeah, I'm going to record this trip all the way into where we're delivering at on my dash cam. Then I'm going to turn around and upload it. We got to get subscribers, guys. And another thing, I'm going to put my, I'm going to change the channel around a little bit. I'm going to put my email link in the description. And if you guys have any scary stories or scary video clips, I'll put them on the channel, or I'll read the story on the channel. I'm going to start doing that like on Saturday evenings. So like every Saturday we can have subscribers or just other YouTubers. I'll read your scary stories, or I'll put your video clips up. Just send them to my email, which is ronjon159@gmail.com. ronjon159@gmail.com. I'll also put it in the description of this video if I don't forget. My truck was in the shop for 31 days, so I've been working awful hard. Here I was needing to get back hard working on the video.
Prepare to keep right in half a mile.
But it's hard to do when you're a 80-hour-a-week truck driver. But I'd love to hear your stories and your comments, anything. UFOs, scary stories, funny stories, it don't matter. Anything you guys that I read and think is reasonable,
right.
I'll put on the channel.
In 300 feet, keep right.
That's like the story you're hearing now is from another YouTuber that I just like enjoy listening to while I'm recording. I mean, I'll put his channel name in the description also, and give him credit for the story that he's reading while we're recording. That other voice you hear is my GPS talking. Getting ready to cross into West Virginia, baby. I hate bridges. I so hate bridges. Especially when you see these big old barges sitting over there like that one. I know you can't see it on the video, but that's what made that other bridge fall, was a fucking boat ran into it. From the time we left this morning, I didn't think I was going to make it down here by 8 o'clock. We're going to get there at 7:30, so that's pretty good. Considering I overslept. Thank God for Cato, my pit bull, came and woke me up at 3:30. My alarm went off at 2:30, but every morning at 3:30, my dog wakes me up to go to the bathroom. He's like, man, I got to go outside. You got to open the door. I so hate all this construction.
Drive more than 4 miles.
Drive more than 4 miles. Shouldn't take long to unload. I don't even have a half trailer. Hope it's still all standing up. It should be. Ain't been on too rough a road.
I saw a few does here and there, but nothing worth taking a shot at. Around noon, I decided to climb down and stretch my legs for a bit. I figured I'd scout around for a while, maybe find some fresh deer sign, or find a better spot to set up for the evening hunt. As I walked, I noticed the woods had gone quiet. No birds, no rustling of squirrels, just silence. It was odd, but I chalked it up to the cold snap that had just moved in. Maybe all the critters were hunkered down somewhere, trying to stay warm. I wandered further from my stand, following a game trail that led deeper into the woods. The trees grew thicker, the underbrush denser, but I kept going. I felt like I was being led by something I couldn't quite explain. That's when I found the tracks. At first glance, from a distance, I thought it was from a huge buck. But as I got closer to inspect them, it wasn't a buck at all.
In 2 miles, take exit 11 for West Virginia 10 toward Hal Greer Boulevard, downtown.
As I looked even closer, I realized something was not right with them. These tracks were too big, way too wide, and the shape was off. They weren't hoof prints. They looked more like oversized paw prints, almost like a wolf. But way larger than any wolf I'd ever heard of. A streak of cold chills shot straight down my spine all the way to my feet. I didn't know what to make of it. Maybe an animal out here had a deformity of some sort. I kept following the tracks, my curiosity piqued, despite the gnawing unease at the back of my mind. As I continued, the tracks became way more erratic, like whatever was making them had started running. I was moving a lot slower now. Every fiber of my being was screaming at me to turn back, but I couldn't stop. It was almost like I was being drawn in. Something was pulling me deeper into the woods. That's when all of a sudden I smelled it, a rank, musky odor that hit me like I'd been slapped in the face. It was a smell I had never encountered before. It smelled like wet fur, rot, and something else that I just couldn't place. It was very strong, it was overpowering, and it made my stomach churn.
In a half mile, take exit 11 for West Virginia 10 toward Hal Greer Boulevard, downtown.
There was a different feeling now. A feeling that I wasn't alone.
Leave highway.
I scanned the trees slowly, looking for any signs of movement.
Take exit 11.
Just shadows playing tricks on my already troubled mind. Then, out of
You are over
nowhere,
the speed
In a
limit.
quarter mile, turn right onto State Highway 10 South.
In a quarter of a mile, turn right.
I held my breath. The growl came again, closer this time, and I caught
At the light, turn right onto State Highway 10 South.
something
I don't think
massive,
it's the same one I
dark,
got off of
and
last night.
fast darted between the trees. I raised my
Take
rifle to
next
my
right.
shoulder, pointing in the direction that I saw the movement, but whatever it was had disappeared. Now my heart was thumping in my chest, and I was starting.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Woodville Drive.
Right.
I took a few steps back, and that's when I saw it. It stepped out from behind a tree, maybe 30 yards ahead of me. At first, I thought it was a bear, and a big one, standing on its hind legs. But as it moved out, where I could see it better, I realized pretty fast this wasn't a bear. It was tall. It had to be pushing 8.5 to 9.
Take the next right onto Woodville Drive, then turn left onto Warehouse Road.
And its limbs seemed to be way too long for its body. Its fur was deep reddish brown, matted in places and clinging to a gaunt that made this thing almost look emaciated,
I can't.
yet still incredibly strong. But what really caught my attention
I can't do
were
it.
the eyes, glowing with a sickly pale blue
You fucking
light
idiot, I'm trying to make this
like
fucking
cold
turn.
fire. There was an intelligence in them, something calculating
There is
and
no way I
malevolent.
can make that fucking turn.
Its snout was shorter than I'd expect for a wolf, more like a sick and twisted parody of a human face.
Go ahead.
Flattened nose and a mouth full of jagged, broken, yellowed teeth that stuck out unevenly from black gums. Its ears were pointed, but not like a wolf's. They were too thin, almost bat-like, and I saw them twitching with every tiny sound as if it was constantly on alert. Its hands, or paws, I don't really know what to call them, were somewhere in between, with fingers that were too
You're good my
long,
way.
ending in claws that were more
There's
like
nothing coming. You
knives
can go.
compared to
You can go.
anything you'd
Go.
find on an animal. They clicked together
Wait,
as it
wait,
flexed
wait.
them, a sound that put ice in my veins. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I just stood there, staring at it, my mind trying to make sense of this. It growled again, a sound that rumbled
Take
through my
next
bones,
right.
and took a step in my direction. That broke whatever spell I was under.
Take the next left onto Warehouse Road.
Destination in
Aimed
500
directly
feet.
center mass in its chest, and fired. The shot rang out, echoing through the trees. But the thing barely even flinched. It looked down at the gunshot wound.
In 1,000 feet, slight right.
Route calculation.
Then it immediately looked back up at me with pure rage. I didn't wait to see what was going to happen next.
Turn back
I
where
turned and
possible.
ran. My heart was pounding in my ears.
You guys see a
The
stupid
trees were
fucking car
whipping
sitting
past
there? I
me
couldn't
in
make the
blur.
turn.
I could hear it behind me, crashing through the underbrush. It was getting closer. I didn't dare to look back. I just ran, harder than I've ever ran in my entire life. I don't know how long I ran. It's all a bit fuzzy, but it felt like hours, but it had to be only a few minutes. The woods around me seemed to close in on me. The air also seemed a lot colder. At one point I tripped and fell. I quickly scrambled back to my feet as I heard the creature still coming, and it was closing in on me. My lungs were on fire. My legs felt like they were filled with lead, but I pushed on, solely on the primal urge to survive. Finally, I busted through the tree line. My truck was in sight,
Calculation.
just a few yards ahead of me. I didn't stop. I threw myself into the driver's seat and slammed the door and locked it, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key into the
Prepare to
ignition.
turn left in
I
half a
started
mile.
the truck and floored it, tearing down the dirt road like I was being chased by the devil himself, which I'm not certain that I wasn't. I didn't stop until I made it to the main road, the safety of civilization. I pulled over.
I was chirping outside my cabin. The day promised to be clear, and I planned to check the northern boundary of the park where some campers had reported strange noises at night. Nothing new, usually just a raccoon or a deer, but protocol is protocol. I grabbed my gear and headed out. The air was crisp, the kind that makes you feel alive. I navigated my way through the familiar trails, marking trees and making notes of any unusual activity. After a few hours, I reached the camping site. It was empty as expected, but the campers had left quite a mess. I cleaned up, muttering to myself about people not respecting nature, when I noticed something odd. The ground around the campsite was disturbed in a way I hadn't seen before. Deep, elongated impressions, like something heavy had been dragged across the earth. I followed the trail, curiosity piqued. It led deeper into the forest, off the beaten path. I radioed back to base, letting them know I was going to investigate and might be out of range for a while. Standard procedure. As I walked further, the forest grew denser. The sunlight barely pierced through the thick canopy, and an eerie silence took over, broken only by the crunch of leaves under my boots. About a mile in, I found the source of the disturbances. An old, abandoned cabin I didn't even know existed. The cabin was decrepit, covered in vines and moss, like nature was reclaiming it. The door was slightly ajar. Against my better judgment, I stepped inside. The place smelled of damp wood and rot. Dust particles floated in the beams of light that managed to sneak through the cracks. There were old, moldy pieces of furniture, a rusted stove, and cobwebs everywhere. I was about to leave when something caught my eye. On a small wooden table, there was a stack of photographs, black and white, old, yellowed at the edges. They showed people, families mostly, standing in front of this very cabin. The last picture made my blood run cold. It was a recent photo of the campers who had reported the noises, and they looked terrified. I quickly pocketed the photos and left the cabin, my mind racing. As I stepped outside, I noticed the forest had gone completely silent. No birds, no rustling leaves, nothing. I felt a chill run down my spine, but shrugged it off. I had to get back and report this. On my way back, I heard it. A faint, almost imperceptible noise at first, like someone whispering. I stopped and listened, trying to pinpoint the source. It seemed to come from all around me. The whispers growing louder, more distinct. Words I couldn't quite make out, but there was a sense of urgency in them. Help! Trapped! Leave! I picked up my pace, glancing over my shoulder now and then. The forest felt different, hostile even. Shadows seemed to stretch longer, and the path I knew so well felt unfamiliar. My heart raced, and I tried to stay focused, convincing myself it was just my mind playing tricks.